Yough. Really stoked on this one. It's my first time down this river, which is a class 4, class 5, according to American Whitewater. That's what I'm going off of. And it's one of the most popular runs on the whole East Coast because it's steep, technical, lots of fun moves to make. It's also one of the most technical, commercially rafted rivers in the U.S. And these two components, combined with the fact that it's a dam release, can make it a really crowded river. They're doing Fridays, Saturdays, and Monday releases, and anytime you show up, you are very likely to be paddling with a ton of people on a tight river with big consequences and tiny eddies. And so it's just important to keep aware of those moving obstacles. Saturdays are definitely more popular for rafts, and getting run over by a raft on the Upper Yough is a common and terrifying thing that happens. But basically today, we're going to take the first run down. I've got Keith's first run on a different day, different level, also intertwined here in the video, so you can see our different lines and different flips, etc., different rapids. So I hope you're having a great time, and a big thank you to Kaleva's River School, as always, for helping us get here. This was the culmination of their Yough training program, and it was awesome. All right, after something like a 2-mile paddle in, you get to the first bigger rapid. This one is 3+. It's called Gap Falls. It's basically a long slide into a hole. There's an eddy of death that you can catch like halfway up the slide on the left-hand side. Generally move left to right, try and punch the hole. Keith train rolling through. Okay, after Gap Falls, there's like 2 miles of boogie water or so. The boogie water is 3+, a lot like it is on the LBS, but I think a little less punishing than the LBS. This is really a joy to paddle. It's a ton of fun. Still not a river you want to flip on because it's not very deep. So lots of broken paddles and bumps and bruises result from an inconvenient flip on this river. Swims are tough too. Not a ton of pools and lots of stuff to run into that's kind of nasty. I'm paddling my Dagger Code, and for me, it's the right choice. I think I flipped over twice on this run, and if I was in my rewind, that slicey stern would absolutely have caused me some problems. Like I said, it's steep and it's shallow, and the code is really rounded, doesn't have aggressive edges, it's not prone to flipping, it's got a ton of rocker and a ton of volume in the stern to pop you out of holes and things like that. Sitting at 225 pounds or so, I go through a lot of holes that other people don't, and I was also, bumping off rocks and things like that, so this boat kept me high and dry, it was easy to roll, and just glad I brought this one instead of opting for something more aggressive my first time down. I was also really thankful to have awesome instructors on the way down. Matt in the red boat setting a bunch of the lines, he's in a Waka, and Amy in the orange Piranha. They kept us safe, set the lines, got us down, and had such a great attitude about it. In terms of paddling partners here, we've got Annabelle, who is not yet 15 and crushing class 5. So she was absolutely just indomitable the whole way down. And it was so cool to see her just crush this stuff, because when I was 15, there is no way you could get me to do this unless you held me at gunpoint. We also had Karina, who's a 4-time veteran and just got a great run, and Natalie, who was a first-timer just like myself and Annabelle, smashed it all despite a spider crawling down her helmet going into, I think it was mushroom. We'll check in on that just a little later in the video. All right, and as this boogie water starts to wrap up, we're getting ready for a mile of like 150 foot per mile descent, which is pretty steep, and that's where it's just class 4, 4 plus 5, 4 plus 4 over and over until you get to the end of that mile. And it all starts with Bastard, which will be the first named rapid. I've broken it up so there's a little slide beforehand. You know exactly what you're going into, and this is just a great way to remind you, hey, the Upper Yough is kicking off. This one's really just picking your way down river left and moving right towards a booth to get out of a little sticky hole at the bottom. right, next up is a class 5. And just remember, rapids are often rated more for consequence than they are technical difficulty. It's more like this is a place where you absolutely don't want to swim. So they grade it class 5 because maybe there's a lethal hazard somewhere on the river. That's definitely the case here with Mel's toilet bowl, a big sieve kind of on river right. There's lines to go around it. You don't have to go through the most dangerous part of the rapid. In this case, we actually end up going close to it, kind of taking that slot line in the middle. But that's because it was so crowded. So what happens is it's really, really crowded. We get into the eddy and we realize that there's a triple raft pin and a double kayak pin. Boaters keep coming down. It's just like chaos. They're yelling upstream, stop, stop, stop. They were able to get everybody out, but everyone got crowded up in these eddies. There's more people coming down. So we just decided to peel out, get out of there rather than risk a collision, especially because one of our paddling group was actually run over by a raft and swam down to National. So that was a bad experience for Natalie. It's a real bummer when that happens, and it's really important, obviously, for the raft guides and also for kayakers to try their best not to have those collisions, but they do happen. And I'm so glad that Natalie was okay. That's a rough experience and really could happen to any of us. It's a really common occurrence on this river. This one's called Mushroom, and speaking of Natalie, this is when the spider is crawling down her while she tries to make this boof.
Yeah! Nice!
Down here! Holy fuck! A spider? Really?
I stopped on the rock.
I'm so clueless. I thought she was talking about her run. I couldn't even hear her over the water. And you can see the Raft Carnage right in front of you as I peel out. All right, so Keith takes the left line instead of the slot line, so you can see what that looks like. Nothing like seeing a hornet's nest on a rock in the eddy you're sitting in. Hornets, wasps, I don't know. So Triple Drop is a super fun, bouncy ride. You don't want to flip over on this one, but it's a lot of fun. And the third drop in Triple Drop is the famous National Falls, which is a huge hole and a weird booth on your right. That's where everybody stops and takes pictures and cheers everybody on, eats their cookies, etc. Yikes, dude, come on. All right, so Bobby Miller told Keith this, and then Keith told me this, and it worked out pretty good, which is right after you peel out for the National Falls booth, there's going to be a downstream rock on your right. Aim for that rock, get an inch off of it, and when you pass it, it's time to start working with some left to right momentum so that you can get from river left to river right, past the hole into the eddy. So you don't need to get rock on that boof. I had a little more downstream momentum than left to right, which is what I wanted, but I still got my feet into the eddy, and you can see the water push my stern and I kind of whip around. It's a powerful hole, but it's also an okay place to swim. You don't want to swim anywhere, especially on the Upper Yough, but there's a generous pool afterwards where you can collect your stuff if you do.
I got run over. Run over. Woo! Woo! Yeah. Here's my crew. What'd you say? Woo!
So Natalie got hit by a raft, held underneath it, needed to pull her skirt. Makes total sense, and we're all thankful she was okay with the swim. She caught a raft down to National, and she hops out of her boat and decides to get some video of our National booths. So let's look at those. Thanks, Natalie, for filming, and way to recover. And Natalie got back in her boat, walked back up, and ran National to make sure she wouldn't miss it. She crushed it, obviously. I regret that I didn't get it on camera, though. All right, so we hopped and popped after National, which means we hopped out of our boats and ate Pop-Tarts and got ready for the rest of the river. Now, there's still a lot to go. There's some Class 4s, 4+s left, but they are interspersed with more boogie water in between them. So there's fun boofs, all kinds of stuff coming up, and then a lot of flat water to get to the takeout. This one is called Tommy's Hole, and it's a lot like Dimple on the Lower Yough, where there's an undercut rock, so you need to go past it. And it's named for Tom McEwen, legendary Potomac paddler who I've had the pleasure of boating with through Kaleva. He also got the first descent of the Spout, which is the Virginia line of Great Falls, and sure, many more. So this one's fun, left to right. And one other thing I forgot to mention is that Annabelle also got run over by a raft at Charlie's. So yeah, literally almost half our crew had raft contact this time. And that was Keith running the boof line on Tommy's. That weird little boof is called Little Niagara. I don't know why. This next one is called Zinger. It's a 3+ on river left, and it's a shallow, kind of narrow, fast slide down the left. Now, one thing that I did here was flip over, and I flipped over by bouncing off a rock, losing my edge. Instantly, I was underwater. It was the deepest part of the rapid, the best place I could have possibly flipped. I didn't bump into anything. I was able to roll up before pinning against a rock or going under it. It doesn't look undercut to me. But listen, I flipped over in the class 3 portions of this, and I have some boat control work to do. Now, one thing you might notice through this video is that since this is like a more technical, steep, consequential river, I'm trying not to provide a lot of how-to here, mainly because I think paddlers who are ready for this water can see the video, light commentary, they know exactly what to do. This is not a casual river to just approach your first time kayaking, for sure. And everybody has different risk tolerance. I'm sure there's class 2 boaters that bomb this thing and have a great time, etc. But for me, the risk is just way too high. And it's mainly that if you're out there, you don't have enough experience, enough training, yeah, you're risking your own life, but you are also putting the people who need to help you and maintain safety for you, etc., at risk themselves, because conducting a rescue is risky on its own. It can involve getting out of your boat, like all kinds of stuff. So if you're choosing to do this river, go with somebody who really knows the lines and the levels and all of that good stuff. And also make sure that you're holding yourself accountable to the skills required. You'll need a boof, you'll need a great roll, you'll need enough boat control to be able to react, you'll be able to keep your edges when you bump into a rock or something like that. You'll understand what the water is doing and where it's going to take you, and almost most importantly, you're going to know how to rescue other kayakers in a bad situation, unpin a boat, set up a drag. Probably not, but maybe you need to help a raft. And so for these reasons, I'm trying not to really make this video like you can just watch it and attempt to go paddle this thing. Leave me feedback in the comments. I'm a new class 4 boater. I wouldn't call myself a class 5 boater. And so some of this is new territory to me, and I'm really curious what you all think about sort of the responsibility for more experienced paddlers, helping newer people step it up and how to do so safely. And with that phenomenal boogie water complete, we're coming up on some trickier rapids here at the end of the run. This one is called Heinzerling. And leading into Heinzerling is something called Gun Barrel, which is this super fun, narrow kind of pour over hole thing. It's like a 4-foot drop or something. And it lines you up right in this little eddy for you to run Heinzerling. Heinzerling, I think, is my favorite rapid aside from Zinger. It's definitely my favorite harder rapid. And basically what you do is you drive up onto this rock and melt off of it, and it's a blast. So check this out.
Nice! Woo!
All right, so that was Gun Barrel, and now we're getting into Heinzerling.
All right. Get that bread. All right.
Bread obtained, Steve-O.
Oh, how can I get it?
And that awesome photographer is Upper Yough Photography. I think her name is Kara. So you can Google Upper Yough Photography and see if she got a snap of you, just like they do on the Lower Yough. I think these are different sort of companies, but it's awesome to see. And she's, chasing you down the river and trying to set up in front of you and all of that good stuff. So it's just great. And just as a heads up, my camera died, and so I'm using Keith's footage to fill in the next couple rapids where either I didn't record them or whatever, so I did my best there. Thanks for bearing with me.
Right there, the horizon line.
Now, I'm pissed I didn't record this one because, of course, on every big step-up run I do, I have to do one rapid backwards by accident. So, I boofed onto the meat cleaver rocks, got spun around, finished it backwards. I wish I had that footage, but I missed it.
Aw, I wasn't recording.
But Keith was. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Might as well follow.
Homie got popped powerfully. Way to recover, Keith. This one is a little bit scary. Be very careful and don't get flipped over.
Tell you one thing.
So Keith took a different line, and I actually like his better. Remember, this is a dam release, and if you get too far ahead of the water or too far behind it, you're not going to be able to paddle. It'll be too shallow. So we start to realize that we're on the other end of the bubble, i.e. the back of it. The bubble is the water released from the dam, and so we're speeding up a little bit to make sure that we can finish the run without getting dried out. There's lots of info about this online, the releases, the levels, etc., so read up before you show up.
Big rock on the right and a horizon line. I'm going to aim for like 3 to 4 feet off the end of that rock. The other thing I use is just before the lip.
That was awesome.
That's Karina, and she was killing it the entire day. Thanks for setting lines and all that good stuff. She gave us some good beta beforehand also. So another thing to know about this run generally is that it can be kind of a long day, not like cheat long necessarily. It depends on how much you play, but definitely plan to spend 3-4 hours on the river. You never know, you could be delayed, and you really have the timing effect because the river dries up when the bubble is gone. So it's really important, like I said, to observe like how much time you have, where you are in terms of the bubble. Ask other boaters, they'll have a good idea. There's a lot of people for whom this is their home river. The other thing is that it's pretty remote and pretty kind of steep, committing, walled in. You can definitely hike out, but if somebody has kind of a more serious injury, it's not a roadside section. It's not easy to get out and get people to care. And so the safety component and the planning components are really important. And I don't want to harp on that too much. Y'all know this. But the other thing about the Upper Yough that's fun is that it's the twin, it's really the big brother or sister of the Lower Yough. And once you get really familiar with the Lower Yough and you're doing all the hard moves and the slots, maybe you take Bobby Miller's advanced moves on the Lower Yough clinic. If you've done other creeks, you start to get into more pushy water. It's cool to be able to go to the same general area as the Lower Yough. And let's say the upper is a step up run for you. You can do either a warm up or a warm down with the lower. It's really cool how they're located right next to each other. So great river, phenomenal experience. I get the feeling that this is going to be my hands down local favorite for years to come, like it is for many other people. When I get tired is when I tend to screw up. So this is a silly flip, shouldn't have happened, and I have way more trouble getting up than I should and bouncing off an eddy line. But this is what happens to me when I get tired. So managing your energy levels isn't just something like, let's make sure I have enough calories to get through the day without cramping. It's like, let's make sure those cramps and the hunger and the fatigue don't set in when I still have a bunch of class 4 or 5 to paddle. Luckily, we're done with all the hard stuff at this point, but it's just a good thing to be aware of in your body. All right, here's that tired flip I just talked about.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just couldn't breathe. All good.
Pardon my French, this big boy does not like tight lines. That's pretty much all she wrote, folks. There's one great boof coming up that's like the last good boof on the river. And aside from that, the whole end is like basically flat water. There's some class 2 riffles. You're kind of bouncing over rocks and stuff. It's not the most fun paddle, but it's a good opportunity to recap the day, chit chat, stretch, whatever you're going to do before the takeout. Okay, here's that last good boof. I kind of ugly it.
Oh man, it's so rocky.
With the offside roll too, this guy can roll in any condition. Good stuff, Keith. Okay, that about does it. I'm including some footage here of the run out just so you can get a clear sense of what it's like. Again, huge thanks to all the awesome paddlers on the river. This was a phenomenal experience. I'm in love with this place. Can't wait to see all of you out there. And if you're anywhere near the DC area and you want to paddle, you just let me know. You're heading to the Lower Yough or the Whitewater Center. I might be able to meet you there, and maybe we can shred it up together. As always, I'm asking for feedback. I can't believe that there's like almost 400 people subscribed to watch these videos. From the analytics, it looks like there's like 3,000 recurring viewers. And I never had an idea that so many people would be watching these. And so really, I tried to make all of this content just to make kayaking more accessible to people. It's such a niche sport, you know, it's hard to find information about, especially good like beginner kind of footage. And that's what my earlier videos were all about. Now that I find myself paddling stuff that's a little bit more technical, I'm kind of having a crisis in terms of what kind of footage to make. I'm not a very good kayaker. I have some experience and I've gotten a little bit better and had some fun rivers under my belt, that kind of stuff. But I'm very wary of claiming to be any kind of expert because I know I'm not yet. And so the objective moving forward is just going to be to tell you what I learn, like I have in my beginning paddling stages, maybe branch out, talk about things like what I do to deal with direct sunshine, like sunblock, sun shirts, other gear topics that I might be qualified to talk about at this point. But this is for you. It's for all of y'all. The paddling community is the most welcoming, excellent group of people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. And so drop a comment if there's something you want to see that I haven't done yet, if there's something that bugs you about how the editing or the audio sounds or like whatever it is, just let me know, because there's nothing I like better than hearing from all of you. Thanks for watching.